Hello, Splicer heads. This is Juve, aka Rock's Apocalypse, about to have his second session of Splicers. So we are in the process of getting everything set up and starting to go ahead and gonna be blowing stuff up. So
And or cutting them, or
yes, one
graphically
of
and
them.
horrifically maiming.
True that.
Yeah, because this is Splicers.
Yes, one of my most favorite games of all time. So right now we're missing Mr. Robert Ogre. He is sick. So, for the sake of game, we will be having him displayed. Um, he will be going back to basically eat up for the day. So, that
Yeah,
is
you're gonna have a
the
whole
thing
cow's
there.
worth of gumbo.
Pretty much. And give me 1 second here. About to have my thing up so people know who the heck am I. Awesomeness. Alright, and believe I got that spelled correctly, and hopefully that's a good picture of my namesake. So, um, where we last left off, y'all just got done with the battle. You was told by a projection that there was a army coming, and you're all heading back to base. So, y'all make it back to base. You go to the Great Hall. You see the Mitchell, the librarian that you have been dealing with before, and what do you say?
Swinorg, we have urgent news.
What is it? Did you make it to the city?
No, we were preemptively set upon by those machines. They have received a transmission, intercepted one. They have an army on the way.
How big of an army?
We were not able to get an accurate reading.
Okay. Well, we do have someone out in the field, and what did this person look like? Who told you that? How did you acquire this information?
There was a malfunction in one of the drones that we had destroyed. It was sending out transmissions to the others, preparing them for an assault.
And they're planning to assault here?
Yes, my lord.
Fine. Give me a moment to figure out what we're going to do here. We'll probably wind up having to send you to the Great House for reinforcements. We only have a small was a small contingent of war mounts and other heavy duty equipment for in case we was had a breach. So this is what I will going to have you do. 3 days, basically a 3 day trip or ride, depending on how I still have to figure out the logistics of transportation. We will wind up having you go to a another house to get us the aid that we would require. We're going to send you to the great house of Baron March. Um, Mitchell, roll me. Do you have spice or lore or anything like that on your character sheet?
I do not believe I have lore as a scarecrow. I'm checking right now. I just have straight up intelligence as a skill. That's it.
All right, roll me an intelligence check.
All right. Though thankfully that one is actually pretty high. I did not make it. I rolled an 85. I needed to roll under a 55. I mean 52.
Okay, so at this point, you will probably ask him why Baron March.
Uh, they would assist us. None of the other houses have ever assisted us before. Why would they do so now? And this is the part where my character starts showing his dislike of the librarian and challenging his authority.
Do you know nothing of anything of the rebellion, foolish idiot? Very stern, very malice toward you with because he picked up on that. Baron Marsh is basically the main resistant, only known human resistant camp that has a good portion of land. They are pretty much the main part of the rebellion and the resistance. But I guess they didn't teach you that in school, did they, Suppleton?
No, they didn't teach me, and your training to be your scarecrow did not include it either.
Mm. Once again, you do not ask enough questions. But that is fine. You'll be heading to Barn Marsh. It will take you about a 3-day ride. We will then proceed to put you on a war mount. You'll be,
Uh,
you
I do have my own war mat. I'm not sure if Dennis, if you have yours as well, or
basically he walks you down to an underground hangar, and he presents to you basically the equivalent of a three-headed dragon. And he calls it Behemoth, Baphomet.
despair is going to be jealous.
Also known as the Winged Hydra. So, this will be your transport to your location. Gather whatever gear you may need, and our crew will fly you to Bear Marsh. It should take you about a day to get there.
All right, then we shall ride.
Young Swarm Lord, do you have nothing to say at this moment?
I am prepared to go as you have directed.
Fine there. So shall it be. I will inform Ronan of what has transpired. So, basically, at this point, y'all get onto the Drake. Y'all basically is sitting in the. There's a compartment on the side of this thing that you basically sit in literally the belly of the beast, and it's pretty much a bioorganic cargo hold. So
Okay.
you see stuff pulsating, breathing, but there is a sitting area. Um, the riders are towards the front, is on the top part of the Drake, but y'all is basically in the belly of it. And you do start hearing the rumbling, flapping of wings as y'all tend to ascend upward and outward towards Barren Marsh. Um, at this point, um, there's pretty much just y'all two in the cargo bay, so y'all can converse in the meantime, and that is currently our current scene.
Quick question, Juve. With this particular, is this war mount special whenever I have to pilot it and stuff? Because I have the horsemanship and the trick riding skills. So I was wondering if that would be adequate to basically pilot it, or if I actually would have to have something special for this particular mount.
The mount itself is it basically you could theoretically pilot, but they felt good enough to go ahead and send y'all in this. It's a troop carrier. It carries up to 9 people. So so it's basically a troop transport and war mount. So it
Okay.
has one rider to carry up to 18 troops or 12 cramp with 6 on its back. Also has cargo capability.
Oh, that's interesting. Actually, with that much space, I could have fit my horse in here. Goddamn.
You pretty much carry whatever stuff that you would typically take on the road. So basically, your war mount, if you felt necessary, could fit in there. Hence the reason why there's only 2 y'all in the bag, because it does get kind of cramped in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone anywhere without the spare.
So, uh, so basically, y'all start riding out, and y'all will start conversating amongst yourselves.
Uh,
Mantis is watching the terrain as it whips by. After a few minutes, he turns. It seems that there might be trouble between you and your librarian.
how much do you know of librarians? Actually, how much do you know of scarecrows?
Very little.
Yeah. Let me try and put it in an easy way for you. I'm not the secret police or the super soldier that everybody, the boogeyman who hunts at the night for him. I am its slave. At little more than a thought, he can kill me at any time. So, no, I don't exactly like him. I do need him alive, though.
Is there not a way to remove that need? It does not seem good to have someone
Many have
over you in
tried
such a
all of
way.
it.
Well,
There's rumors of previous scarecrows severing their connection forcefully from their librarian. It's described as horrendously painful and small chance of success and a small window of opportunity. Nothing actually of how you do it. It just says that it's possible, and something about it being a year, only 2 year window.
so about 4 hours go by while y'all are having these discussions, and then you all feel a giant um, impact on the side of the Drake. You hear the Drake proceed to squelch and scream in pain. And through the biocoms, you hear, "We are under attack. We are under attack by heavy troop fire."
Wait, I thought it was only us two on the Drake.
There's the pilot.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Fine.
Okay.
Yes, you're all in the cargo bay, and then you have someone that's actually piloting the actual Drake itself. So at this point, what will proceed to happen is the following: is that you will, what has happened is that you felt an impact on the side of the thing, and then you've been given a message through the biocoms regarding what has happened.
I would try to contact them through the comms while basically shouting out, how high up are we?
We are about a couple of thousand feet up. We're trying to descend now, but we have a battalion of jet fighters, jet machine fighters on our tail currently.
Is there any
We
openings and such on the Drake for like return fire and stuff like that?
currently they are currently trying to fight them off. There really isn't a way to shoot outwardly. Y'all basically gotta hold on for the ride and basically hope for the best. Uh, Now roll me perception. I can you and Mantis.
Perception?
Yep.
Mm, it's only an 8.
And Mantis.
11.
All right. So that's going to be significant. Basically, what you see at the side is you see beams of flame shooting outwardly. You don't see the head of the Hydra, but you do see the flames protruding out, and you see sky jets getting blown out there. They're basically giant. They're like high tech jet fighters. There are unmanned. They're basically drone jets, and they are currently firing upon you heavily. Um, you do see that they managed to kill about three, but you see there's a grand total of like 20 of them coming towards you. Then you, at that point, hear from the pilot, "I'm going to descend down. When I get down to a low enough altitude, y'all will have to basically jump out of the Drake and continue on foot. It will be a 3-day ride. It will take y'all about 3 to 4 days to get to Barn Marsh."
Just get us there. I'm looking
So
at my.
at that, so basically at this point, you feel the Hydra turn and proceed to do straight down descent down. It does it low enough of a dive that you're all about a couple of 100 feet up, not high. Basically, you're high enough to do basically airborne ranger style dropping out of the unit without yourselves getting killed. So there will be a sack that will open up, which is the cargo hole, the bio cargo hole opening, and he tells you, "In 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you the jump. I'm going to proceed to go back up and draw their fire away. Good luck and Godspeed." So, at this point, do y'all decide to? I presume that y'all gonna jump out of the unit.
Yeah, I'm going to get Ruin ready to do this,
Yeah, get ready, and when you get to the ranch,
as well as making sure all my weapons are properly secured.
then we'll jump out.
Yep, pretty much. So, y'all both jump out. You then, while you're jumping out, the Hydra is automatically ascending upwards. Since y'all are two small little objects, they're focusing on the Hydra and not y'all. So basically, on your way down, you're seeing the Hydra proceed to have jets ram into it. You hear the dragon screaming. You see bursts of green-ish flame coming out of the Hydra, trying to spray as many jets as possible. And as it basically, as you're going down, is flying right away from going back into the city area to try 9 out of 10 to do a uh, kamikaze like final attack to see if we can take out more machines. As y'all descend down, your war mount is what now, Mitchell?
My war mount is a war horse.
So your warhorse proceeds to go down. It hits the ground, and you see basically a puddle of smoke. Mantis, on the other hand, goes down like a giant, the equivalent of sound, almost best way to describe it as a comet hitting the ground. So he basically curls up in the ball, hits the ground. You see a puff of smoke descend up in a crater, and you basically approach over, and you see him proceed to stand up unscathed and proceed to walk out the crater. And at that point, you hear a giant explosion and flames shooting upward from the city, as you can tell that the Drake has finally been brought down. And so now you all have to roll me land navigation.
I should have that. I do. Give me a second. I have to roll under a 36 for me. Unfortunately, I did not make that. I rolled a 79. So I'm probably disoriented from the jump.
Yeah, you're a little bit discombobulated. You do see a dense forest of trees to the right of you. Y'all can take shelter there if you wish, or you can proceed to go through the tundra.
Oh, cool. My war mount has land navigation as well.
All right, roll land navigation. So I presume I'm going to roll for that.
I made my land navigation roll.
Oh. Okay, so what? You basically know at this point what direction you need to head, and you can communicate that accordingly.
All right.
Yeah, send that over by the biocomms. We need to head this way.
All right. Well, let's go. I'll simply mount up onto Ruin, and we'll get ready to go.
Okay.
I mean,
so
Despair.
So at this point, y'all proceed to head through the tundra. Hold on one second. Be right back. So, as y'all going through the tundra, you do see some of the native wildlife and what have you. Nothing of much concern. Y'all ride for about a couple of hours. It's starting to become dusk. Do y'all want to ride through the night or take up camp?
As a scarecrow, I need very little sleep, and I can go days without it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure about Mantis.
What do you want to do, Mantis? Stay for the night or proceed to continue to go onward?
I think, given the situation, I want to try to push through and continue on. Get some distance between us and where we came down at least.
Well, y'all keep going for a while, and you wind up coming across. The weather does change a little bit. Let me see here. And y'all start getting a downpouring rain and lightning storm. So y'all proceed to go through the night, and then off in the side, as you see flashes, you see these figures. You can't tell what they are off to the left and right of you. It looks like it might be a look like almost like humanoid, but you can't tell exactly what. Roll me perceptions for everybody.
14.
14. All right, that Basically, they look like the equivalent of giant gorillas.
Oh God, I know what these
And
are.
yes, there's about a total of 6 of them. And at this point, there are on the outskirts. They are at this point haven't shown any hostility, but between the flashes, you can start seeing them become slightly more aggressive in nature and keep on looking at y'all general direction. So, what do you and Mantis want to do at this point?
Uh, Probably not do anything to basically incur their attention too much. But continuing on, maybe try and be a little more stealthy with myself. Uh, how about you, Mantis?
Yeah, I would follow his lead if we wanted to try not to provoke them, and just continue towards our destination and keep an eye on them to see if they
Okay.
get closer.
All right. As y'all proceed down, you come across another. You see there's a mountain range and there's a boulder and there is another type of animal that has basically shown up at this point. And this is a uh, best way to describe it. Kind of looks like a giant panther, but has stones protruding like giant, kind of like rockish like scales on it. So y'all pretty much have entered like a wild kingdom of things accordingly. It's about, I would say about two. You can see about a half a mile, 2 miles ahead that's coming up that way. You do see there is a mountain range, um, and there might be some caves where y'all can take shelter to get away from these potentially aggressive animals.
Okay.
So, y'all head towards the cave. It's quite dark and whatnot. Swarm Lord, Mantis, did you by chance take any of the lightning bugs by any chance in your assortment of artillery?
No, I did take fireflies. I don't know if that would help.
That is exactly what I'm talking about. They can do not. Yeah, you do have it. You have to pull up your Rifter 51, but I forgot the radius. But for the purpose of just speeding up the game, it generally one of them can illuminate the entire cave without causing any damage. So they're a light source and slash what it called slash pretty much a plasma grenade when hurled at enemies.
Okay, so once
So
we're in the cave, I'll release a swarm of the fireflies.
okay. So you release the fireflies, y'all get settled in. Now, what y'all do see outside is quite interesting. You see that the apes have ran up with the giant beast, and now you're basically seeing a fight ensue. The apes are proceeding to, because they're basically giant stone apes, is trying to pummel and take down the stone dragon, as I like to refer to it as. And you see the shards and everything shooting out of it, trying to impale the different gargoyles. Um, you actually see at one point one of the apes physically pick up a tree stump and whack it upside the head. This goes on for about. Hold on, let me see here. Because I have. Thanks, Roller.
I definitely have my bio rocket slinger at the ready.
Glad we didn't get caught in the middle of that.
This goes on for about 20 minutes of just apes and dragons going at it, getting thrown here, and there. One of the apes actually get his arm ripped off. Another one gets impaled. There's like three left, and this mountain lion like beast. I mean, basically, like I said, looks like a giant stone panther. Is basically ripping the shreds out of all of these gorillas. Um, After 20 minutes, there's only like two of them left, and then um, they retreat back into the forest. Um, you see the giant animal lick its paws accordingly, and then proceed to scurry back up into the woods. Now, at this point, as you are in the cave, both of y'all roll me a perception check.
Eesh, 4. I'm rather distracted.
Okay. Mantis?
I got 14.
Alright. You notice on the wall, around surrounding walls, that you see these kind of like cave drawings. Um, and they're basically showing man versus the machines, the wars, and what have you. You see very rudimentary like figures of bio armors, and you keep seeing the figures of four um um kind of looks like they're wearing bio armor or living host armor, fighting off an entire wave of just um a wave of machines. And you keep seeing the same drawing over and over again, but you also see on the other side of the wall another set of drawings of these same four figures also slaughtering and killing, kind of like the equivalent of humans as well. So you have basically two stories being told simultaneously on the wall.
I move
And
closer
then
to
you,
the wall. My head.
as you move close,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was gonna say as you move closer to the wall, you do hear something at the further end of the cave, and you do see a little bit of like a fire at the end.
Uh, can I smell what this is? I can look up right now my particular things for. Can recognize and accurately identify general common known smells, including gases, food, and other distinctive odors, within a range of 100 feet per level of experience, with a basic of
Then
60.
go. Okay, go ahead and roll that then.
Haha! 51, I made it.
All right. So you definitely know is a male. You know it's a older male. Um, I say between 60s and 70s, and he is basically in the back of the cave. You also know that he also has a set of host armor on him as well.
I'm going to try and stealthily move to the other sides of the rocks, if there are any for me to do. Try to be stealthy about this and pull out my two, as the viewers may already know, my two smaller handheld swords that are basically scythes.
Okay. And Mantis, what do you do?
Also, thankfully, I only have my light armor on. It doesn't impede my prowl.
Well, I don't believe that stealth is really an option for me.
Okay. So when you get about 20 feet from there, you hear this old man, this old man's voice that said, There's no need for your weapons. I've already heard you when you first entered the cave. And if I meant you harm, you have already been shot 10 times already.
I'm kind of just thinking in my head I probably would have survived those shots.
So at that point, you see this basically old man, and see next to him, you see a set of ranger armor, a bow, an arrow off to his side. And the man is basically sitting at the fire. He has some meat roasting over a fire pit, and looks like he's been living here for a while. Um, he says to you, I mean you no harm. I'm a simple old ranger from Barren Marsh.
Why do you
Uh,
live in this cave?
I'm a ranger. I go across the land doing scientific research, observing, and reconnaissance for the for Barren Marsh. So this is what I do. I'm getting on in my years, so I don't have to report back as often.
so this is a little more than a vacation right now. Taking a 2 days, 3 days off, I'm guessing.
I'm taking a couple of days off. I have nothing to really report of at this moment in time. So where do y'all come from?
Not really much important. We do need to get to the marsh, Sea Baron Marsh.
You need to get to the city of Barren Marsh. Is there something of importance there for y'all, travelers?
And the fact that there's a rather high chance of a robotic army on the way, and we've been tasked with warning them and potentially accruing reinforcements. I think that qualifies.
Hmm, interesting. I was wondering why they were marching and there was a giant battalion going in that general direction. I just thought they were setting up another sentry tower.
If only it was that simple. How many did you see?
Basically, I want to say a couple of thousand, 10, 20,000 troops, carriers, um, 5 to 10 um, battalions of jets in there as well.
I just kind of look over towards Mantis, and even though you can barely see anything proper with that as a scarecrow, but you can definitely just see it in my eyes that we have to get reinforcements, or else Sui Ren is basically toast.
Like I said, I paid no heed to it because at the time I figured that there was nothing to be worried about due to the fact that we were not really aware of your city's location due to the fact that it was so underground. But it now makes sense. So, if you wish to go to Barren Marsh to see the lord of that house, I will have no issue trying to navigate you through there. You should be warned there will be several wild animals that you might have to contend with, also not including uh, the minefields and whatnot, and possibly the underground sewers.
Those can all be dealt with. They aren't nearly as bad as in number.
Usually in solo, not so much, but with a party of three, they could potentially be hazardous. So, I say we rest for the night and take off in the morning, especially with this thunder and lightning, intends to make the animals, as you can see, ornery.
What do you know of the drawings at the front of the cave?
Oh, the drawings. Um, I don't really know much of them. I have heard stories from different travelers and survivors that basically some weird legend of like four warriors will either be the saviors or the damnation of humanity. Hence the tale of two different walls, one showing the four warriors destroying the machines, and then on the other side you see the four who would potentially wind up killing off humanity. It's an old legend. I've seen drawings like this for the last 20, 30 years. I've never seen anything to confirm these stories. I do find it odd that some of them do show different types. I've seen one that had typically the drawings looked like it was showing that of a swarm lord. I then saw another one of like the equivalent of the gentleman next to you slaughtering machines or slaughtering humans. Yeah, it's pretty vague. I mean, there's these types of drawings all over the areas as you come for as you travel through the area. I would not take much stock in it to it. People are always looking for some type of misguided propaganda to either instill fear or hope or what have you. I rely on my bows and my skills. And he sits back and take another puff off of his pipe. And he basically like takes another bite off of his looks like boar meat that he had put on the spick, and he's like, "Are y'all too hungry?"
I don't require much, but I'll appreciate it. I'll take what little bit I only need to survive.
So you see him take his knife, and even as an old man, you can see that he still has skill rise. He twirls it in his hand from it and slices off the meat quite effectively, almost like a surgeon, and then proceed to hand you your meat. And Mantis, do you stay in your host armor or do you get out for the evening?
I think I'm gonna stay in.
All right, then. So you're still in your armor. So the insects and whatnot are going to be retreating back in for the night. There will be the distinct crawling and hissing and clacking of insects around. Surprisingly enough, you notice that the ranger is unaffected by um, your armor. Majority of the time when you deal with people in general, they become unnerved after a couple of minutes. This man seems unaffected. So, as the night concludes, y'all go to sleep. Let's see if anything happens to you while you're all sleeping.
I only need to sleep for a couple hours, thankfully. The advantages of being a scarecrow.
Halfway through the night, you do hear something enter in the cave. The ranger is already up and fully armed. He tells y'all to be. He puts his like, be very quiet. It is a stone ape. We do not want to have to deal with a stone ape because where there is one, there potentially can be five along with him. He proceeds to stomp out his fire and put his food away. He's probably smelling the food, so be very quiet.
hope he doesn't smell me.
He proceeds to enter into the cave further, and he even though to the best effect of the ranger, it was unaffected, and therefore he picked up on that. So at this moment in time, y'all have one stone ape looking pretty much dead on y'all. Y'all proceed to come up with, go ahead and roll me up initiative, and I'll be right back. I gotta grab something real quick. All right.
If Despair is actually in here with me, I'm actually going to hop on, if there's enough clearance for me to fight on my horse, do so.
I would say there's not enough room in the cave for you to be mounted on the horse. You let him into the cave by the bridle into the cave, and he was basically sitting down on his legs. Um, you can try to have him as like a fourth person that could potentially fight with you,
Yeah, he
but
can fight
that's
with me.
okay. So hold on one second. Let me grab something. I'll be right back. Well, this should be interesting. So, at this point, yes.
13 initiative.
All right.
19.
19.
Uh,
Give me one second here to get my summary. Okay, here we go. It goes dead last. And
oh, you rolled a 1?
pretty much. So basically, what we have here is a grand total. Did y'all put the? Y'all got in chat. 13 and 5 is for Mitchell, and you got what on yours, Dennis? 19. Okay, so the order's real simple. The Dennis goes first, follows by the Ranger, followed by Mitchell, and then Despair, and then the Stone Ape goes last. So, what do you wish to do, Mantis?
I'm guessing that the quarters are really tight in the cave.
Pretty much. It is a tight, confined space.
And at this point, is there any sign of others being with him, or is it just him that we can tell so far?
So far, you can only see that it is him at the moment.
Okay, what I'm going to attempt to do is charge him and strike out with my serrated whips to try to grapple him.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me for your attack.
Strike. Serrated whips +1. 3. 17.
17. Alright. So let's see if he misses dodge that. He does not roll for damage. And are you pulling him down, or are you just trying to whip him with the whips?
I'm trying to entangle him. So I strike for 11. And,
Okay.
and then basically there's serrated teeth-like barbs on the whips that I'm going to try to dig into and grapple him or entangle him with.
Alright, since you've already made the roll for that there, I go ahead and say that did occur and happen. At this point, the ranger will tell y'all, okay, at this point, my recommendation why he got him tied up is to flee and run like hell. As soon as we get out, follow suit, and if you have anything to blow up this thing, blow up the cave or seal it off, I would recommend you do so.
I've got that covered.
So at this point, he gets his gear, he grabs his ration of food, and things of that nature. It takes him less than 2 minutes, or less than a minute, and he is out the door. At this point, the ape is squashing and squirming, trying to bust through the whips but cannot, and grunting and basically foaming at the mouth.
I hiss as my insects pulse and buzz as I struggle with the great creature, holding it long enough for the others to get out before I run after him.
All right, roll me a perception check, Mitchell.
All right. 17.
All right. So there is no other apes outside. The ranger senses nothing at this point. So he tells you head for the woods, and yeah. So y'all basically head out to the woods. Back to you, Mitchell. I mean, not Mitchell, Dennis.
So
once
I'm
they're
going
outside,
to get ready.
once they're outside of the cave, I'm going to basically pull and tug it to get around to where it's not between me and the door. Then I'm going to release it and move as fast as I can for the mouth of the cave.
When he exits, I would like to fire my rocket launcher at the mouth of the cave, sealing it off.
All right. So y'all will proceed. As soon as he gets clear, go ahead and roll me to hit on the cave wall.
All right. So it's +7, and I rolled a 11.
All right, that does hit. So basically, as soon as he gets out of the cave, you fire off a missile. You can see the foaming, raging face of this stone ape. or the stone gorilla on his way out of the building, out the cave, and at that point, you see there's an explosion, rocks start to crumble down, and the cave looks kind of sealed off.
Right.
The ranger says, "We got about probably 15 minutes before he claws his way out of there. We should make ourselves scarce."
I got 6 hours before a new rocket regenerates. Well, to replace the
Okay.
pilot.
When he does that, you hear him whistle, and then you see his war mount come out, and basically he runs beside it, jumps up, and basically jumps on the back of the beast and proceed to ride onward. Um, what's your speed on your armor, uh, Dennis? How fast can you run?
102 miles per hour.
All right, then. So this is basically what y'all be seeing. Y'all are on the tundra. You're basically jetting along with a dust trail behind you, and you look like pretty much the equivalent of a juggernaut blazing down the tundra. Um, then you have Havoc. Is that what you named your character? Draven?
Yeah, Draven.
Yeah. Draven's is beside you, and the Rangers also beside you. Y'all pretty much are standing at the same top speed at 102 miles an hour. And the scenery is pretty much tall, grassy plains, forests, mountains. You see an array of insects and bird and flying overhead. Y'all be traveling like this for about 4 or 5 hours. The ranger tells y'all to halt, and what you see before you is a sentry tower. It is currently having about four, five. It has a small group of troops around it. You're out of detection range at this point in time, but he said, "So this will be our first obstacle. Normally, I would travel through the tree line and go from there, but due to our party size, we'll actually have to potentially engage this as well." And basically, um, y'all call it the Rook Tower, but yeah, it has hardly any drones around it. It has you can see there's a cannon on top of it, and there is a force field. And it has and y'all from roll me a perception check.
You said there was a force field around the tower? Oh, son of a bitch.
What?
One.
One on what your perception?
Yeah.
You do not pick up anything at this point in time.
8.
Okay.
Thankfully, we have a ranger that can potentially get a good roll and point things out to it.
You got an 8, you said, Dennis? Okay. Yeah, he pretty much said that he can tell the from where from the location that from his experience that there has been a set of steel troops there are inside of the building. There's about 60 of them inside. And yes, they're basically standard troops. Nothing too awkwardly serious. what do y'all want to do at this point? It'll take another day to try to go through the woods, or y'all can proceed to try to siege the tower.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with going through. I got enough rockets and weapons, and everything's fine for me.
I haven't had a good fight in a few days.
Okay.
Also, Juve, you said there was a force field around the tower, the sentry tower.
That is correct.
All right. Would I know that? Is it like the force field directly like skin tight on the thing, and we have to just blow through it, or is it like we have to get within that force field and then start doing damage to it?
Basically, one of the most impressive features of the robot sentry is the perimeter force field. It can be raised up to 500 feet away. The tower itself can be engaged at any time, usually in the beginning heavy counter shelter to robot defenses from the energy barrage. The perimeter field is solid as a wall and must be depleted before anyone can enter the area before the force field. The only
So we gotta
drawback
take
to the
it
sentry tower,
first.
yeah, the only drawback of dealing with the sentry tower is it can't fire any weapons or missiles when the force field is up. So once it drops, it will then proceed to. Um, then you'll have to start dealing with its weaponry.
Are there any troops outside the force field at the moment?
There's no truth in this thing. It's pretty much just completely looks like there's nobody around. Like it's just a general sentry tower out there basically for presence. The ranger tell you that generally unless you engage the tower, it usually doesn't do anything. The force field is usually up. Um, the force field usually down until someone tries to engage, and then the field goes up, and then the troops. If you manage to deplete the shield, the troops are then deployed, and it starts firing upon you.
Well, I have no problem taking it on. Will you be able to, old man?
I generally avoid this as much as humanly possible. The field is quite sturdy from what I've seen, and with only 3 men at the ready, I would normally try to avoid with the plague, unless we can find what y'all saw last night. We call them knife skins.
Those are those dragon-looking things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do have an interesting thought. If we can get a couple of knife skins to chase us, we can pretty much have them try to take the shield down for us.
That'll work. I can then bombard the tower, take out its main gun with my rockets. That'll allow us to slaughter the infantry.
Huh. Well, let me see if I can try to find you. Well, let's see if we can find ourselves some knife skins. So,
Let's just hope we
he
can
says,
outrun them.
oh, you can outrun them. Let's see. Let's see here. Knife skins. Uh, Basically, they run about 100 to 150 miles an hour.
Yeesh, that's more than my horse. I can only run 50. He can only go 50.
Yeah, basically how this is gonna have to work is that we have to do a long range attack and then basically get out of its way as it charges us. So he pretty much tells y'all to stay there for a moment, and he goes off into the woods. And 15-20 minutes later, you start hearing light explosions and fire and stuff bouldering from the woods, and then you see him basically on his horseback running at full speed towards the Sentry Tower, and about less than 50 feet back, you see not one, not two, but three knife skins approaching at him. He managed to come across uh, a group of them, luckily enough, and at that point, they um, almost when he's about to hit the side of the building, um, uh, while he's about to almost get into the rain the shield, he makes a quick turn, right about maybe 30 feet away from the shield, and rides along. Meanwhile, these animals are at a full blast run and collides with the sentry shield. At this point, they are quite angry and upset, so they proceed to attack the shield. So, since it did send a shot back, that the knife skins has now viewed the sentry as its new aggressor. So it has blindly decided to attack it and try to vivisect it apart.
Excellent.
Couple minutes later, you see him come around the side of it, and uh, yeah. So he pretty much deal with this. Now, when you see this thing up close, um, go ahead and roll me a hard check.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep,
16.
Okay, yeah. My computer had a hiccup.
you passed the hard check because the thing was at 16. And what is your roll me a hard check?
Okay. My horror check bid is through the roof. 19.
All right. Yeah. So the next thing you know, you see it apply its rain attack, which is basically giant shards from its skin showering down onto the force field. And there is three of them. Okay. Bear with me for a moment here. Yeah, this thing. Give me some because I got to roll basically 15 dice. So basically, what you see is that the sky is almost pretty much covered in this hail of basically shrapnel like things hitting the field. And you see the field fluxing and everything else. And once again, they do it again. Hold on one second. I forgot to add in the modifier.
As they begin tearing into the force field around the tower, I kind of crouch and lean forward as my mantis-shaped blades kind of rub together eagerly as I watch the destruction.
Yeah, this is going to take about. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for them to actually get to the point to drop the shields. Now, now at this point, the ranger says, we can theoretically walk around this now because the robots will be dealing with the knife skins, and we necessarily doesn't have to get our hands dirty. Plus, we'll be fighting knife skins and robots and the sentry tower. I would say that this might be ill-advised to attack the building.
Geez, it's ill-advised to attack everything with you, isn't it?
I don't get this old by just, shooting everything in sight.
That's typically how I plan to get that old. Nothing else to kill me.
I really make it a point not to avoid a fight, but in this case, our mission is of importance. And with that in mind, I agree to, in this instance.
How much longer will it take us to go around?
It will add in about 12 hours. The worst thing that we might have to deal with, it might be some gut rippers or potentially some, no more night skins for God's sake, I hope. Or maybe some nocturnes.
Thing is, do we have 12 hours?
We have 12 hours that we can spare if we ride through the night. So what do y'all go with his plan, or do y'all want to try to take the Sentry Tower?
It really doesn't matter to me. I'm perfectly fine with going around. I'm kind of pressed for time, but that 12 hours is kind of making me hesitant.
So let me see if he can. If you give me one second, let me see if he can make a navigational roll and see if he can possibly find a shortcut. He says, "Let me take a look for a moment. Let me see if I can potentially find a." And he does. He's like, "Yes, I can possibly cut us down to 6 hours around. We will possibly have to deal with 2 or 3 nocturnes, which are not that bad of a thing to deal with, and maybe some 1 or 2 stone eights, depending. They're in this area. They're not that many, but it's very like a combination of jungle slash grasslands."
I just kind of mount despair and just ask him which way.
So he proceeds to turn around in a semicircle, runs off. As he runs away, you do see the old man shoot one high explosive arrow at the shield. At that point, the shield drops, and you see a battalion of 60 plus robots proceed to get ripped apart by the three knife scans, and basically bedlam ensues over there. He chuckled to himself, I always loved doing that. And y'all head down the way. Y'all go for about 4 hours into the 6 hours for the course of the day. And let's see what you get. You wind up encountering, at this point, three nocturnes, which are basically giant werepanthers.
Also, those things that we saw slaughtering the stone apes.
Uh, that is what you saw knife skin slaughtering.
Oh,
The
okay. I thought there was also some panther-looking thing that did it too, but
Yeah, that is the nocturnes. Um, so they're about 5 feet long, 3 feet high. So these are pretty big animals. They weigh between 120 to 170 pounds. And they use so
ooh, I'm on despair, so that means all my bonuses are different.
yeah. He says, well, if you're itching to kill something, these would be not bad to do. Their highs go for pretty good in the city, and their meat are not too bad. So, do y'all feel like going hunting? Because it is getting towards the end of our day, and I presume that y'all are hungry accordingly.
I'm ready for a hunt.
All right. So you come across these three nocturnes. At this point, everybody roll me an initiative.
Uh, how far away are they from when we started fighting them? Or when we
Um,
will?
y'all will be on them in about they're about a mile out, so y'all be up on them in less than 5 minutes.
All right.
All right.
Oh, that is nice. I got a 24.
All right. What did you get? Okay. And yeah, so
Favorite thing most of all about riding despair? I have 9 attacks per melee.
all right then. So Mr. 24, you go first.
I'm going to kick despair into high gear as we're galloping down towards them and pulling out my pulse rifle and start unloading my clip into the closest one.
All right.
Let me roll to strike with that after. Let's see.
How much of your thing does damage?
It does 4d8 plus my physical endurance, which is my physical endurance is 27. So 48 plus 27.
48 plus 27.
So let me roll to see if I hit him. Plus 1. Do not have a great to hit with this rifle, though. Oh, I got a nat 20.
Yeah, okay. So this is how this works. When you fire, what's the damage?
I'm calculating the damage right now. It's For criticals, it's double the damage I do, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I did 108 mega.
So this is what happens. You blow its head slap off. It just instantaneously go bloop. The ranger looks at you and like, impressive, slightly scary, more gory than what I normally go for. The other two um, nocturnes start to go around the body. Uh, Hold on, I gotta see they go. Okay, one runs off into the woods due to that, and the other one rolled a nice 20 and said, "F it, I'm going to try to kill it."
It's like, ooh, that thing's gonna look good on my wall.
Well, the problem it is, Bishop, you blew his head off, so there's not much anything to mount.
No, I mean
Luckily,
that's
you
what
didn't.
the Nocturne is thinking of me, since he got a nat 20.
All right, so the next person up will be Dennis. I mean, Mantis.
Okay.
And what is your attack?
How far away are they?
At this point, you're like 25 feet away. I mean,
Okay,
he
so
can
I can
go hard.
easily close.
Mm.
So I'm going to charge forward, and on this first turn, use my whips to entangle it and grab it.
All right.
So it's 4, it's 5, so that'd be 2, so that'd be 23 on my entangle.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm going for the entangle rather than straight damage, I only do 2 mega damage.
All right.
But it's now
This,
entangled. The whips are now wrapped around it, digging into its flesh.
all right. Now it is on the Ranger. Let's see what he rolls to hit. So he's going to fire off a arrow for the head, and it does hit. All right. Hold on 1 second. Let me determine the damage roll. One second here, guys. Unfortunately, my computer decided to be sluggish yet again. So the ranger said to you, hold him steady. I think I can get a shot in. I'm going for a headshot. So he fires off a light explosive round for the head. And that will be 2. And that winds up doing. Yep. Okay. Since you have the animal prone, it is now back to you, um, Mitchell.
Okay. So I'd say I have enough time to actually get to it. Uh, or am I still like too far away to actually hit it again in melee?
Um, I say that it will take you at least one round to move into close combat with the animal.
Okay, so I'm going to continue charging forward and firing my rifle again at it.
All right. Roll to hit.
Ooh, that's another nat 20. God damn. I'm going to get these dice immortalized or something.
Okay, so the head explodes. Gory goo this goes all over the place. You see now about 6 to 12 inches radius of blood of the animal accordingly.
I'm starting to love this rifle.
Uh, so at this point, the ranger looks at him like, impressed with marksmanship. I am quite impressed. So he gets over to the animals like, well, unfortunately, I will not be able to tan the hides of these since, well, there is a little bit of brain matter around here. I might be able to get enough to tan the hides. Um, and he goes through the process of skinning the animals accordingly. Um, it is a pretty big amount of meat that y'all pretty much have at this point. And pretty much the skins alone, since y'all both killed them, can make pretty interesting cloaks accordingly. The so he does offer to you, Mitchell, one of the highs. He says it's gonna have to take a couple of days for it to finish curing, finished the tanning process, but he managed to scrape together enough brain matter to actually tan the hides accordingly. And y'all got plenty of meat at this point for the rest of the journey.
That's perfectly
Because
fine.
these are, yeah. Um, what is your Mantis? What is the metabolism of your creature, of your host armor?
So let's see. Where is it? I just had it. It's a lithivore.
Okay, so your armor does need to feed at this point. So there is a forest nearby if you want to proceed to graze and what have you, because I presume it only eats plants, correct?
Um,
No, that's herbivore. Lithivore is, uh,
I think it's like minerals.
I think that, yeah, I think it's rocks.
Okay. Either
Google
way,
to the
there's
rescue.
yes. Basically, there's enough stuff around that you can feed your host armor, and then if you wanted to get out, since it's been 2 days now, you can also get you some meat as well. He is going to set up camp for the night, and I believe this was where we might wind up ending game if y'all think, because this is 9 o'clock here.
Yeah, also lithivores eat minerals, stone, iron, stuff like that.
Yeah, I need 30 to 80 pounds. Probably need closer to the 80 now, given that we've been traveling for a couple days without stopping and taking the time to eat and stuff.
Yeah, y'all have pretty much made good time. You're this is only the second day of traveling, so um, you got one more day before you hit Barren Marsh, and then go from there. So, do y'all want to continue, or do y'all want to call it at this point?
I kind of need to call it. It's 12 a.m. for me, and I got a final yet to get done tomorrow. So,
All right, plug your YouTube channels if you have them. Um, and then after that, there we'll have a little bit of recap and interaction about how the game went, and that's be basically it.
Okay. I guess
So,
I'll go first. It's not too bad. Um, I'm Mitchell Grubbs. I own Tenho Mitchell. I do RPG reviews and stuff all like that. Mostly I'm just playing this for fun. I really love Splicers, and I'm glad Juve's running it. Dennis.
uh, my YouTube is Wicked100. I don't really do videos at the moment. Um, I kind of just recently got involved with the YouTube Brigade when BrigadeCon started, and had the opportunity to play a couple new games, which is one of the. This one is one of those, and so that really worked out for me. This one and Dresden Files was another new game that I got. And like I said, I currently don't have videos, but I may start doing, especially like response videos. But that's about it at the moment.
and of course, me, your Splice Master, Rack Apocalypse 8186. This is going to be an ongoing campaign. Um, Still new to GMing, but yeah, overall, I've enjoyed Splicers immensely, and I have a good group of players. Hopefully, we'll have Robert back, and then we might have a third player who will be filling in the role of Ranger. So, come back and see us next week, and we'll see what else we blow up. Thank you again, and peace. Make sure you check out GM Juice One Shot Group if you're looking for games. And if you're a YouTuber who do role playing games, definitely check out um, Brigade, YouTube Brigade. Um, that's another great resource as well. So that's basically it. And thank you again for taking the time to take a look at this video. Ta ta.